Thank you for inviting us to this event. Thank you, Eurocloud. I'm very glad to be here. So, as Elena said, my name is Johan Sjokvist, a Swedish pronunciation, Chief Development Officer at the Node Pole. I will tell you a little bit about that, but I will mainly focus on talking about sustainability today, and therefore also talking about the Nordics and why should you place data in the Nordic countries or place data where the renewable energy and the environment can help you be more sustainable. So can the Arctic rival Silicon Valley? No, I don't think so, but that's what CNBC asked themselves a year ago in a feature from a conference in London. My colleague Fredrik Kaljuniemi there. So what is the Node Pole? Sorry. We are the northernmost data center region in the Nordics and in Sweden. We're home to Facebook's European data centers since 2011, when they had their first investment, and they reinvested in 2014 later on. And this is where we are, not far from the Arctic Circle, in the northern part of Sweden. We are a government-funded guiding investors to this part of the country. So that's more or less what we do in the same way we did with Facebook a couple of years ago. So we'll try to spend this time talking about the Nordics in that perspective, about sustainability, about how this part of the world could be a good driver for sustainability in the cloud sector. And this is a good place for data, of course. More or less all energy is renewable from hydro and from wind. The average temperature is not that high. I think you could imagine that. Hot summers, yes, but fairly cold winters, of course. And that's giving an opportunity for free air cooling, and that was also why Facebook in the beginning decided to go to that part of the world. So the Nordic countries were actually, Facebook was actually not the first one. Google went to Finland in, I believe it's 2007, 2008, something like that, when they bought a paper mill outside Helsinki. Apple is going to build in Denmark. Facebook, there was a rumor a couple of days ago Facebook is going to build also in Denmark. Russian Yandex is in Finland. So you see, the Nordics is proven ground for web scale in some way. I'm pretty sure you've seen this this chart of how the data are exploding in the world, and this is in exabyte. So from 2020, the world's going to have somewhere around 40,000 exabyte of data to store or to process or something like that. And we are clever people. We will fix that in some way, or we will, of course, fix the half of that because we are innovative. We make better solutions. We make the servers better and so on. That's the way. And if you look at power consumption for the internet, and this is numbers from 2011 actually. Sorry for the Swedish country names, but if you compare cloud computing or the internet to be a country, that country should use more energy than Germany, which is Tyskland in Swedish, and almost as much energy as Russia. And this is numbers from 2011, so I'm pretty sure they already passed Russia, actually. And there is Greenpeace. Greenpeace is every year making a report called Click and Clean. There's always a big discussion about this report, but in some way it puts out some marks on the big internet giants, what they do with their energy mix, how transparent they are, and so on. And on the right-hand side, you see the green ones. This is the report from 2015. mainly hydro, wind, and solar power, some bio. And the trend is pretty clear. Everyone is moving to the right, to more renewable energy sources for their data centers, for the data. Danilo was here a couple of minutes ago, and I know also AVS has a good job trying to get more renewable in their energy sources. So if you quickly look at the carbon footprint from the power generation in the world and summarize that pretty easy, and compare that, you could more or less say that the Nordic countries, or on the right-hand side, Sweden and the North Pole has the least footprint in the world due to more or less all energy produced in our part of the world is hydropower from our rivers. And there's a key factor as well, the cost of transporting data. Over the 15 last years, it has gone down significantly, really much, a real key factor. And I must say, I'm not sure that in the pretty near future, I'm not sure that you even can charge anyone for transporting data. I'm not sure you can do that in the pretty near future. So this is also a key factor for places in the world like the Nordics to be a tough player on the cloud sector. So what is the conclusion of that? The conclusion of that we have is it is cheaper and it's more efficient to move data instead of electricity. Not the other way around that we always have done. We have taken the energy and taken it to where the data is produced in the big cities where all people lives. Now there's a big opportunity also to do it all the other way around. Take the data and produce it near the power production. And of course we're not stupid. We know that all data centers will not move to the Nordics, of course, but there is opportunity, of course, for some of them to take place in other parts of the world where the big data centers can process their data in a more sustainable way than in the cities. So this is the North Pole. We call ourselves the cloud frontier of Europe. European Data Center and Cloud Computing Hub. We have somewhere around 1,400 megawatts of abundance of green and pretty cheap competitive energy. And we've learned pretty much from taking Facebook to our region, of course, handling with the public issues, with building permits and all kinds of things. So we've been continue working on bringing more investors to our region, and that's also what we can transfer to other investors trying to find new places for their data. I'll skip that one. So we work entirely on making it easy for the companies to do business in our region, to set up data center, and therefore everything is ready. We have you can have a building permit with complete documentation in 3 to 4 weeks, so the sites are ready to build. Our co-location providers, you can have your data put there tomorrow, of course. That's no big thing. So that's ready to operate, so you are ready for market, so to speak. And when we say we are ready, we are really ready. Our data center sites are quality checked. We know for our experience of handling a lot of investors over the years exactly what they're looking for and what questions we need to ask, and our sites are ready and really quality checked. And for an example, this is one of our co-location providers, Hydro 66, a British company, London-based, who have their data center co-location facility built in wood, actually, in our region. And this is how they market themselves on their website. You see they compare the UK pricings. So in the UK, the electricity price is 1.83 times bigger at this point. I think this was dumped a couple of days ago when I made the slides. And we're going to listen a little bit about how their CEO, Andy Long, talks about this in a short movie. So that was Andy Long. Another example is a other co-location provider who recently, half a year ago, signed BMW Group, a good example for the other enterprise companies also looking into the sort of have the all green chain in their production. So the automotives is of course a really interesting future market for the cloud. And then we have Facebook, and this is a giant ice thumb made of ice in the city park in Luleå, kilometers from the European data centers for Facebook. And of course, they started in 2011 and made a reinvestment then in 2014. And this is actually from last week. Maybe some of you noticed Mark Zuckerberg, CEO, post. I think he has somewhere like 80 million followers. He's gonna tell the world about some new technology and how they do around the world. And he started with a data center in Luleå. And if you go to Facebook and go to Mark Zuckerberg's profile, you can check out some pretty nice pictures from their operations in Luleå. And this is also what he said then, that it's a key part of a global infrastructure and it uses a variety of local natural resources to increase efficiency and save power. And the whole system is 10% more efficient and uses almost 40% less power than their traditional data centers. Well, that's interesting, of course, that Facebook have used their facility in Luleå to experiment and try to push the limits in some way to a more sustainable world. But it's of course it's pretty far up. I think I am the delegate here to have traveled longest, probably. And of course it isn't. Sorry. So it's long, but we have 800 million people in reach for within 50 milliseconds, and to Bucharest, I believe it's somewhere around 40. So That's not actually a big deal for the right data. But we always try to talk about speed to market, because it doesn't matter how good infrastructure we have. If we have had an outage since 1979, the companies, the businesses needs to be up and running as fast as possible. So speed to market is, of course, the most important thing for everyone in everyday business. So therefore, we also have built an alliance network of big industry partners. I think there are some 60 plus today. Some brands missing on this slide. So we teamed up with them and used them to make good deliveries to the customers, to make good offers to the customers, and not only the data center infrastructure. You have recruiting companies here, you have security, and so on. That's what we do to shorten the market, time to market. This is what's happened. 196 megawatts. Megawatts is a bad number, bad measurement, but in some way reliable in some way. 196 megawatts built and announced in a few years. Facebook 2 data centers and so on, a couple of co-location data centers as well. And of course, we're trying to get in more investments, of course. But Nordpol isn't just a place or a brand. We're also a ecosystem trying to focus on creating R&D at universities to help the companies deliver, the subcontractors to deliver, and of course be a support organization for the companies to more easy and fast get up and running and have a smooth investment in our region. So that's really the key, not just focus on being an investment agency, also work with the other elements that can create a good environment for those companies. I'm going to sum this up with another film, and it's coming, I think, right now.
In Sweden, we make the most of the cold. When I became mayor, I saw the potential for change. The world needs a lot of big data in the future. Bringing the Facebook data center to Luleå is changing the way people do things. Before they think winter is just freezing. Now they can understand cold is a good thing for a lot of things. Data centers need cooling. We use the Arctic cold to get more from less. In Sweden, we have a climate for innovation. When Facebook called me and they say, we just decided to came to Luleå, that night I was very proud. Now the world's data is flowing through Sweden.
We're pretty proud to also have the Volvo to have our brand in their series of advertising movies. Zlatan Ibrahimovic was one of the other ones as well. Just to put an eye on the Swedish way of innovation and how we do things. Don't want the movie again. There we are. So I'm going to stay with the last quote. Sustainable cloud growth happens where nature's combined forces and competitive cluster actors work hand in hand. That's how we see it in some way. The internet is growing, the cloud is growing, the data is growing in the world, of course. We have to work together to also make it more sustainable than it is today. And we think that the Nordic can be a good part to that. And that's not only our region, of course. There's a lot of places in Europe and in Northern Europe that can be a part of the way doing the cloud more sustainable and helping the actors to take that into their business as well. We see that from the internet giants, pretty clear, but there are also, of course, a lot of other enterprise companies and other cloud actors that can take the step to make their operations and the internet a little bit more greener. As you saw on the slide earlier, the internet and cloud is having more emissions today than the aviation industry. So we have to all help each other to make this a little bit better. So I'm going to stay there. Thank you for listening.